Super speedway racing usually doesn't disappoint, which is why I'm actually quite liking this new version of Atlanta. Do I think it deserves 2 race dates? No, probably not. Just one, or one day, one night. But it was alright. The second Atlanta race, post-race review, let's talk about it. There is a controversy that I thought when I saw it in live time, people would probably not be happy with it. And I was right. Once I just went on to Twitter and I looked at the timeline, I was like, okay, yep, that's what I thought. So, we'll talk about that later on. But first, of course, I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members for always supporting the channel. Yes, I do have a little bit of a boo-boo. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I am okay. Let's get into it. So, Atlanta, it was solid. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. It was a super speedway race, which this race has to be a super speedway race. Guys, if you want spread out racing or something like that at this track, this is not an intermediate track anymore. This is a super speedway. I'm going to call Atlanta a super speedway. I might even call it Atlanta Super Speedway. This is what it is. This is what they wanted it to be. And it's definitely unique. And it does truly remind me of a mini Daytona. And it reminds me, this race with the really hot weather conditions with a smooth racetrack. So the reason why I said I prefer this race at night is because I actually would take away the handling issues that these guys are having in the day and let them just run at night and make it like a full-blown super speedway race. But the handling issues was kind of cool. Handling issues is really cool. If you guys remember the mid-2000s when Daytona was old and bumpy, and even Talladega too, handling was a big deal. And that style of plate racing was really cool. And then we kind of went away from it because, the repavement of Talladega and Daytona along with the new car, and it got different. This track with this package reminds me a little bit of what was going on in the mid-2000s. But the weird thing is that the surface is smooth. It's not an old bumpy surface, but this style of racing reminds me of those mid-2000s where you probably have one or two dominant cars. You can actually visually see certain cars that are much faster than everyone else. Today, it was very clear that 9 car of Chase Elliott was the fastest car in the field. It was just able to make passes and make moves that other cars couldn't. So it reminded me of that, Dale Earnhardt Jr. In the early and mid 2000s with his super speedway DEI, powerhouse. It reminded me of that. A lot of 2-wide racing, not much 3-wide racing because Atlanta's not really 3 lanes yet. I think it will get to 3 lanes eventually, but right now it's kind of just 2 lanes. It's still very tight, still causes some big wrecks. There was a massive wreck with this hit that Austin Dillon took into the wall. I mean, he absolutely clobbered that wall, and then he got out of it, and he was like, it was fine. And that's insane to me because he hit the wall at 175 miles per hour probably because he got hooked by Michael McDowell. McDowell was involved in the wreck. He got hooked straight into the wall, and, Austin Dillon walks away. Ross Chastain was one of the causes for multiple wrecks. He was in that wreck with, spitting out Truex. He then ended up also wrecking Denny Hamlin for some reason, which, again, not really sure why he did that. And we'll talk about Ross Chastain when we get down to the results because I think he is, other than the winner, he's like the main story here because he definitely had a interesting race to say the least. And there was just some solid racing, really solid racing, passes for the lead, strategy, do I gotta make it on fuel, yada, yada, yada. There goes Skywalking in the background. And then we come to the end of the race, and it was like a caution, breathe caution deal. The main contenders today were Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. I think Tyler Reddick was up there a lot. But track position was huge. Like, track position was everything. You could not give up track position. You had to essentially restart within the first 7 or 8 spots to really have a chance of even getting to the lead. Because you have 2 lanes. When you have 2 lanes, unless you want to be chaotic and then try to force it 3 wide and cause a wreck, there's not really anywhere to go. That big wreck that involved Austin Dillon and Truex and Logano and Kyle Busch and those guys, while some of them like Truex and Logano were able to continue, it did take out a few cars, and then more cars started getting taken out, and you had flat tires, you had spins. Alex Bowman got stuck with flat tires. Christopher Bell had a flat tire, and then his pit crew that was transferred over from Bubba Wallace. Yeah, that pit crew, they just need to have an audition for new pit crews because that pit crew just deserves to just go away. They are the worst pit crew I've ever seen. I mean, it's very noticeable. That's the problem. You don't usually notice bad pit crews. This one's bad. This one's very bad. But then we get to the end of the race, and Corey LaJoie is one of the main guys we're going to talk about here. Corey LaJoie, I've met him before. I actually had a conversation with him at Phoenix last season, but at the championship race. I was just walking down the pit lane with LaJoy. Cool guy. He looks like Jesus. Really like him. Awesome hair. Awesome beard. Again, looks like Jesus. If you look like Jesus, you're a really cool dude. But he did a terrific job. And this is the thing I like about this super speedway racing at this track, is I feel like some guys, you know, it was very visible that LaJoy's car was not that quick. You could just tell when he was in the lead or leading a line, he was backing up certain lines. Not his fault. He's doing as much as he can. But that car just wasn't that quick. It wasn't as quick as Elliott. It wasn't as quick as Truex or even Chastain with damage. It wasn't as quick as that car. But, you know, he did a terrific job knowing which line he had to get into, and even fighting with Elliott and putting up a really good battle 1v1 when they were switching lanes. So he did a terrific job. And then the controversy comes. We're finally at the controversy point of this video. I apologize, but the controversy comes, and guys, comment down below what you think of this. Like, do you think it was a clean block, a dirty block? What would you have done? For context, I did listen to Chase Elliott's, because, you know, I'm listening right here with my AirPod. I did listen to Chase Elliott's interview, and I did listen to Corey LaJoy's interview. And essentially, Elliott was like, I had to make a block to go for the win. And then Corey LaJoy said, he specifically said it was a good block. He said, I made a move, and, you know, it was a good block, and he ended up wrecking. So let's, you know, I'll play the video in here for you. I'm not sure how much of it I can show, but essentially, LaJoy tries going to the outside. Now, Elliott got the lead one lap prior, and what he did was he went on the outside, but like just a little bit past the start-finish line, not entering the corner. So he was able to really just get out there, and he had a bigger run than what LaJoy had. So Elliott was just able to get to that outside. And even if he went to the inside, he probably would have cleared LaJoy anyways. So he just had to go one way or another, went to the outside, got the lead. LaJoy tries to make this one a little bit later because he gets the run later. So he gets the run entering the corner. And when he gets the run entering the corner, he needs to pick. And he knows Elliott's going to block. Elliott is looking low, and he goes high. And Elliott gets there. Now, is it a dirty block? This one's debatable. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Unfortunately, with this style of racing, and hands up, I'm a Hendrick Motorsports fan, but I promise you, if this was Joey Logano, which you guys know I don't like, you know, because of his, I think he really doesn't have a lot of respect. If this was Joey Logano being in the 9 car, I'd still say the same thing. So I just want to make sure it's very clear that I'm not being subjective in any way. This is completely objective. Elliott got there, and LaJoy hit his rear bumper. So if that happens, you know, like, is it a good block? LaJoy never got to Elliott's outside. LaJoy hit the right rear bumper of Elliott, and it didn't knock Elliott sideways. It actually knocked him forward. And what happened was it knocked LaJoy's car out of shape, and then LaJoy got into the wall. So is that a dirty block? If I was in the race car, and that's how I try to judge these things, if I was in the race car and I had to make that decision, I'd pull the block. I would do the same exact thing and hope I wouldn't wreck. That would be the scenario. It would be a little different. This is where it would be different if LaJoy got to his outside. But that never happened, if you guys know what I mean. That moment where Elliott blocks and LaJoy hits the right rear, if he got here, if he got to the right rear and Elliott puts him in the wall or something, that's different, if you know what I mean. That's different. But because LaJoy hit that right rear bumper, that's why LaJoy said it was a good block, because he went somewhere and Elliott's bumper was there. And now, unfortunately for LaJoy, he was carrying such a big run and such momentum that it knocked LaJoy's car out of shape, and he was already near the wall, so it put him in the wall. Could LaJoy have gone low? He probably could have. The one issue I think that the reason why he didn't go low is because, one, he just got overtaken on the outside the previous lap. But I don't think he had enough time to side draft Elliott in order to get clear in time. I think he would have been side by side with Elliott coming out of turn 2. And with Elliott being on the outside lane, I don't think that would have helped LaJoy's chances in winning. So I think in his mind, going down that front straightaway, you have 2 seconds, 2 seconds to make a decision. You get your spotter tells you you're clear from the car on the inside. You have Chase Elliott in front, and you have a run from behind. You have 2 seconds to decide where you want to go. You know, if you go to the outside and you get there, that you probably win the race. So that's what he went for. That was the move. If you get to the outside, you win the race. He tried it. It got blocked. and he ended up in the wall. But he didn't get put in the wall. There's that's what I mean. I hope everyone understands that. If they were side by side and Elliott put him in the wall, right? That's one thing. But to be in front, block, and LaJoie hits the right rear, and then LaJoie goes in the wall, that's another thing. I think LaJoie said it best himself. It was a good block. Objectively looking at it, I think it's a good block. In modern day NASCAR, with how big the runs are, I'm not sure if you could even block that without one of the guys wrecking, because LaJoie's not going to lift, and Elliott's going to block, and usually all these races end up in wrecks. Usually ends up in the leader wrecking, but this time it was second place. It was kind of odd. I complain about it on NASCAR 21 Ignition all the time when I hit the rear bumper of another car and then I lose control. I'm like, how does that work? But it worked in this scenario to be like that. So personally for me, after that long explanation, guys, I think it's a good block. I think it's a racing incident. But if you're LaJoie, you have a right to be bummed. You made a decision, and that was the decision. I think if he goes to, like I said, if he goes to the bottom, I still don't think he wins. He gets side by side, but I think he knew he probably wouldn't clear. If you go to the bottom, you have to clear. You have to side draft and clear before you get off the exit of 2. And I don't think he was going to be able to do that. So it's really unfortunate because he put up an incredible race. That team really needed that good result, and instead they go from a possible top 5, a possible win, a possible top 3 to a wrecked race car that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and just another kind of yawn finish. Like, no, it doesn't really matter where they finished. They finished somewhere near the back. That's the disappointing part. You know what I mean? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's a very controversial topic, I think. I already see a lot of people on Twitter being angry at Chase Elliott about it. I've seen worse. I've seen much worse blocks. I've seen people literally put other people in the wall. Those are the blocks I don't really like. Let's use Chase Elliott for an example. Do you guys remember Chase Elliott on Joey Logano at Bristol? Does anyone remember that? When Elliott tried blocking and he just put him in the wall? Like, straight up, just put him in the wall. And it took both of them out. That was bad, right? Everyone knows that. That's kind of what I mean. It wasn't that type of block. It was, to me, it felt it was clean. So I don't think Elliott did anything wrong. He ends up winning the race. I think that's his 3rd win of the season, if I'm correct. I think it is. He's still leading the playoff points category, and he's leading the regular season points. So it looks like he's probably going to head into the playoffs as like the number 1 seed with however many playoff points that he will have. He also won stage 1 and 2, by the way. So yeah, that's also that. So let's take a look at the race results. The breakdown of the final lap took up basically like all of this race review. We're pretty far into it, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. Elliott, Chastain, Cindric shows up. I didn't see Austin Cindric all race. Did not see him whatsoever. He was never running towards the front. He ends up finishing 3rd, so really good result for him. Eric Jones did well. He was running top 10 most of the day. I wouldn't say he was really up there battling for the lead, but he was top 10, sometimes top 5. He does really well in the 43. Again, doing really well this season, actually, Eric Jones. Ryan Blaney was the fastest Ford, and to me, he was top 3 fastest cars. I think Elliott was clearly the fastest. Then I'd probably put Blaney and Truex, as 2nd and 3rd. So Blaney comes home in 5th. Another good race. I think he needed to be a little bit more aggressive throughout the race, but I'm not sure if his car was fast enough to kind of pull off the moves that Elliott was pulling off, because Elliott's car just for some reason was just really quick. It was really fast through the corners and side drafting and all that. Daniel Suarez ends up being in 6th. I didn't see much of him all race, but he gets a top 10. Justin Haley with a good result in 7th. Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, Harrison Burton, 3 guys with solid runs and getting top 10s. Martin Truex Jr. ended up in one of those big wrecks, ended up coming back in 11th and fighting for the lead towards the end of the race. Kevin Harvick kind of chilled around for most of the race. He ends up finishing 12th. Kyle Larson, quietly having a disappointing season, I would say. I thought he'd be better this season. I think he only has 1 win on the season, and he's just not really doing as well as I thought. Even this type of race is not really his type of race. He's never been a super speedway type of guy, but I just thought he'd be a little bit better. Bubba Wallace, never saw him really the entire race. There might be reasons for that, as you guys know. I usually miss some details, but in a super speedway style race, I definitely thought Bubba Wallace would be up there in the top 5 contending, but the Toyotas just weren't up there. Kyle Busch, even before he got wrecked, wasn't really up there. Denny Hamlin got close occasionally, but you could tell the speed in that car just wasn't there. We all know how great Denny Hamlin is at super speedways. So I think it was a Toyota thing. I think Truex was the only one that really showed true pace, and maybe everyone else just struggled a little bit. I mean, there isn't a Toyota in the top 10, if that gives you any sort of indication. There's no Toyotas in the top 10, so they obviously did struggle a little bit. Michael McDowell in 15th, then the rest of the results here. Christopher Bell in 19th, Kyle Busch in 20th. Christopher Bell's race got derailed from the spin coming out of 4, and then his pit crew just screwing up, and yeah, that's unfortunate, with Denny Hamlin in 25th after the wreck with Ross Chastain. And then finally, to end up, I was just actually listening to Denny Hamlin's interview on NBC. Ross Chastain, yeah. Well, he's not winning the championship. I can guarantee you that right now. And that's unfortunate, because I think he's one of the fastest cars in the field, fastest drivers this year, but he's not winning the championship. You guys can clip it, save it, use it against me if he actually does win it, but he's not. It's gotten a little bit too far. Austin Dillon's pissed off at him. Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin's pissed off at him. Alex Bowman doesn't like him. Chase Elliott calls him an idiot. He doesn't have a lot of friends in the field. A lot of people don't like him. There was someone on the radio. I think Eric Almirola was like, I don't want to see you at Food Lion or something. Is that like a grocery store or something? So Eric Almirola doesn't like him. Essentially, when this happens, you're not winning the championship. It's just not going to happen. In modern day, guys, the championship, if you get there, is decided in one race in Phoenix. And someone will take it into their own hands to make sure that he doesn't win the championship. And it's probably going to happen before that. At Talladega in the round of 12, or the Roval, where usually a lot of stuff happens at the Roval when it comes to rivalries and contact. Or Martinsville as well, trying to get into the championship 4, right? The penultimate race before that final race. He's not making it. Yeah, he's not going to win the championship. He might make the final 4, but he's not winning the championship. You can book it, clip it, that's it. He has messed up too many times. He's messed up too many relationships, and he just has to learn, and it's going to happen towards the later part of this season. He's gonna learn. I don't think, maybe he says the right things. He, says he's sorry, doesn't mean to do it, but then he does it again, and does it again, and does it again, and it's gonna come back at him, and he's gonna feel it, and it's gonna cost him, and that's probably when it'll finally click in that he needs to not stop being aggressive, but stop wrecking people. That's the problem right now. He's literally wrecking people. It could be by accident or not, but it's happening too many times to too many different drivers. I had him as one of my championship favorites before all this happened. Now that all this has happened, over. He's not winning the championship. And unfortunately, that's just how it's going to go. Guys, I'm going to end it there. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter if you're not already. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. And comment down below with any of your thoughts and opinions on the race. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully you enjoy this video. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.